All right, let's turn our attention now to some other companies out with their latest quarterly results within the last 18 hours or so. And let's start with Twitter. Everybody in the media, of course, their favorite company, and the stock continues to disappoint once again. We see a slight beat here on the top and the bottom line, but ultimately shares are down 13% because user growth is just not where it needs to be with this. Sazi, let's start with Twitter and thinking about the activist involvement there. Elliott has their stake. The questions are going to come up, obviously, about Jack Dorsey's dual roles. And it's just shocking after we've seen Facebook. We've seen Snap come out with blockbuster quarters. Now we've complemented it with Pinterest and Twitter, both disappointing to the street.
Miles, yeah, and let's stay on the numbers here, because I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing the stock down here. It's not just users per se. First and foremost, Twitter didn't show a quarter-over-quarter acceleration in revenue. Now, we've broken down all these social media earnings this week, and that word acceleration has been very critical. All the other social media companies saw quarter-over-quarter quicker sales growth. Twitter did not. And point number two here, to your point, Miles, yes, Twitter showed slower sales growth versus its peers. Facebook's first quarter revenue up 48% year over year, Google 34%, Snap up 66%, Twitter only up 28%. I tweeted out a cool chart this morning showing how much faster Snap sales are growing than Twitter. I mean, it's pretty striking here. And then last but not least, let's keep in mind, Twitter just had a key investor day earlier this year where they came out and said, we want to double revenues by 2023. And now there are some folks on the street after earnings yesterday calling into question if they can hit that mark, just given where the first quarter came out.
Yeah, guys, I want to just add and piggyback on that. Ad sales, all about ad sales for so many of these big tech companies this quarter, right? You had, for example, YouTube ad sales up 49%. One thing that we didn't mention, I don't think, in the Amazon numbers, their so-called other sales were up 77%. That includes ad sales and Amazon earlier on in that evolution. So not a comparable, necessarily straight comparable number, but still, Twitter's ad revenue up 32%. So still growth, but when you look at what these other companies are putting up on the ad side, you just see that this whole narrative that at some point Twitter was going to be able to monetize and unlock this growth, they are still not realizing it in the same magnitude as the other large cap tech companies.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I understand that Twitter is going to continue to try to iterate and make that platform better, but if we think about what Instagram and Facebook, so the Facebook family of companies, if we think about what they sell, and now Snap is doing it, and this is essentially what happens on TikTok as well, is that they sell stuff to people, right? People go onto Instagram, they see, whatever, probably some knockoff Canada Goose jacket, but then they buy it, right? And Facebook takes a cut of that, and then everyone goes home happy. And that advertiser is going to continue to come back to the platform because they get sales off of that. I mean, Twitter is inside jokes. Twitter is fun for all kinds of reasons that involve how different it is from Facebook and Instagram. But the content on Twitter is not as obviously monetizable. The experience on Twitter is not as obviously monetizable. It's chuckleheads like us tweeting out charts. It was more political news. I guess there's still some, but we're kind of over that now. But it's news. It's things that are happening today, and it's a way to occupy yourself in your free moments. There's nothing aspirational really about being on Twitter, whereas I think there's a lot of things that are aspirational about being on Instagram, and talk about whether that's good for all of our mental health or not. But that is something you can sell against, and I think Twitter has clearly had a more challenging experience with that. I just do not see the path towards that changing. So, I guess that's why you're hearing rumors about things like Twitter Plus and subscription Twitter feeds, because otherwise, no one wants to read my feed and then go buy a T-shirt. There's no synergy there. However hard Twitter is going to try. Although maybe we'll do a shop the look. We'll do a shop the look for us here on the show. Ooh. Brian Sazi.
Bonobos. I'm ready to go.
There we go. Brian Sazi helping out the folks over at Walmart with his Bonobos getup today.